It's no secret that you'll be involved in the anti-corruption activities serving in one of those committees in Parliament. Here everything is clear, but what in general are the views of the politician Dmytro Gnap? For example, taxes, should they be high or low?
Taxes should be lowered for sure, because another poor country once showed by experience that the lower the taxes, the higher the chances of collecting them. That was the case in Georgia. It doesn't work immediately. The transition to lowering taxes, to reducing tax revenue, takes place over a given period of time. Therefore, taxes must certainly be lowered. This allows for transferring a significant part of the economy and money out of the shadows. I'm just reiterating the ABCs.
So where does the state get the money?
From investments. In order to attract investments, you have to fight corruption. So we start from the beginning. Lower taxes to increase revenue for the state budget. But first of all, you have to fight corruption. Again, I'm reciting the ABCs. The problem is old and known, but this is where we have to start because no one has really ever fought corruption.
Then this state is not a socialist state at all. Take, for example, healthcare. Should it be insurance-based or should people expect free healthcare?
First, I don't have answers to so many detailed questions. My political program, political platform, and economic platform are still in process, and this involves a lot of different people as experts.
When you say we, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about myself and my compatriots.
Who are your compatriots?
Those who now form the core of our team.
Who?
Okay, for instance, Volodymyr Fedorin, formerly known as an editor of business publications and now a political expert.
He worked with Saakashvili.
He used to work with him, but not now.
And now he's distancing himself?
Now we work together.
And what has Fedorin told you about Saakashvili? They are no longer working together. What happened?
He and Saakashvili have parted ways. Their paths diverged, I believe, a couple of months ago. And he and I found each other a couple of months ago.
Who else?
May I reply to this question later?
It's not settled yet.
Certain people are interested. We've made the preliminary agreements, but we have not yet held comprehensive team meetings.
As for your Euro-optimist colleagues, who are you aligned with? Because there are lots of different people, but they're actually very different, and so are their views.
Yes, but we've already talked about joint actions and possibly creating a new political project with Mustafa Naim. Although Mustafa told me straight out that he is representing not only himself but their group, which includes him, Serhiy Lishchenko, Svetlana Zalishchuk. I've talked with Yegor Sobolev, who expressed an initial interest in coordinating our actions. But Yegor cannot leave Samopomich political party for objective reasons. But he and I are old friends. We have the same values. It makes sense for us to coordinate our political actions.
What values? You said on Facebook that your views are nationalistic, but in certain aspects liberal, for example regarding LGBT rights or even legalizing marijuana. What does that mean?
I'm an adherent of center-right ideology, if that's what you're asking.
What does that mean?
This means a libertarian approach to economics. In other words, minimal intervention of the state in the economy. At the same time, the position of the state should be relatively strong in the international arena. I'm talking about defending national interests.
This is not really about nationalist, but economic views. So are you not for a welfare state?
I am not for a welfare state because I support a libertarian approach to the economy.
This means health insurance, paying for education, high rates for public utilities, a low minimum wage that remains stable.
That's right.
And high taxes.
It's market rates for public utilities, high taxes distributed in a transparent way to support the public good.
How are you going to persuade people in a country that is really not that rich and where a lot of people depend on the state and support the idea of a welfare state, which could take care of its many vulnerable groups?
It's a difficult process to persuade people, but maybe herein lies the answer. Perhaps we live so poorly because we have such a weird welfare state that provides a lot of benefits, which are taken advantage of by the dregs of society or the corrupt. And we don't know where even our low taxes go. We don't know how they're distributed. Often they're stolen.
About the war, should the Minsk agreements be upheld, annulled, or renegotiated?
Annulled.
Then what?
Then, in time, prepare for the possible military liberation of our territory. Depending on how effectively we build up our army and special forces, having the special forces liberate our territory now occupied by Russia could be less painful or more painful.
And if, as we're preparing, Russia attacks, for instance, say, by air, and our Western partners in the meantime say, we support you, but you're on your own in this.
In that case, we already see we need to follow the principles of civic activists. There are 3 principles of civic activists. The first principle is rely only on yourself. 2, rely only on yourself. The third principle is the same. Obviously, we need to reform our army, modernize it. Same thing with our special forces.
But that's militarization of our country.
It's obvious that with a neighbor like Russia, an aggressor state that has captured our territory and kills our citizens, we cannot manage without militarizing our economy and also militarizing our society. So in addition to reforming our army, we also have to create national self-defense detachments. If we have an enemy like Russia whose goal is to destroy our independence, how can we liberate these territories? Either we are on Russia's terms or Russia is on our terms. Either capitulation or victory.
To what extent should a politician adhere to the Constitution, to what's written there now?
Of course they should follow the laws.
What does the Constitution mean to you?
To me, the Constitution is the fundamental law of Ukraine, but that's obvious. By the way, I don't support the idea of revising the Constitution, as Yulia Tymoshenko recently suggested at the presentation of her new course for Ukraine. I think that if our politicians adhere to the supremacy of the law, the separation of powers, everything that's already in the Constitution, things would be very good, but they don't even follow 30% of it.
Is now the time to be concerned with the LGBT rights, to talk about these questions, amend legislation?
Of course.
How will you explain this to the people, civil partnerships, for example?
As for civil partnerships, I support civil partnerships, and people who are radical opponents of this, they have to be persuaded.
Will you attend the Pride March?
I'm not against Pride, honestly. Yes, I'm ready to attend Pride. We look forward to it.
What about abortion?
Regarding abortion, I think it's worth legalizing it, as a prohibition of abortion does not solve the problem.
The Church, what is its place? What do you think about breaking with the Moscow Patriarchate of the Russian Orthodox Church? What about religious education in schools?
Breaking with and reducing the role of the Moscow Patriarchate in Ukraine is a no-brainer, as this is a political issue and a question of national security. It's not even a matter of religion.
Personal religion?
As an atheist, I stand for maximum secularization, for the maximum reduction of the role of the Church in public life, and for maximum enlightenment coming from the position of scientific positivism.